Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about the similarity between the flags of Austria and Lebanon. This is the flag of Austria. The flag's design dates back to 1230. It's based off the coat of arms of the Babenbergs, a noble dynasty that ruled Austria from the 10th century to the 13th. When the Habsburg dynasty took over in the 13th century, they used this bicolor design of black and yellow, which effectively became the flag of Austria. It wasn't until 1918 that the red, white, and red triband officially returned and was adopted as the national flag of Austria. The flag was later readopted in 1945 after Austria regained independence from Germany after World War II. And this is the current flag of Lebanon. It was adopted in 1943, but we need to jump back to 25 years earlier to the end of World War I to see how this flag evolved. It's believed this design was introduced in 1918 to represent Lebanon. This version uses the current design for the cedar tree, though this design wasn't standardized until much later. But essentially, Lebanon was represented by a flag with a white field charged with a depiction of a cedar tree. The cedar tree design is a depiction of the Lebanon cedar, which is native to Lebanon and some other neighboring countries. The cedar is a symbol of holiness, eternity, and peace, and is mentioned in the Bible many times. After World War I, France was given a mandate over Lebanon in 1920, and the flag was changed. Instead of a white field, the cedar tree was placed on top of the French tricolor in what was certainly a bold statement by France on their authority over the country. Keep watching until the end of the video because we're going to reveal a really cool fact that further connects the 1918 and 1920 flags in a really weird way. In 1943, Lebanon gained independence from France, and unsurprisingly, the leaders decided to change the flag. They kept the cedar tree and replaced the French tricolor with a horizontal triband of red, white, and red. Here is a sketch of the flag made by the leaders of Lebanon. We can see in the sketch that the tree trunk is brown, and this is probably close to the original cedar tree design. We can also see that the white stripe is much thicker than each of the red stripes. Looking at the current flag with its official specifications, the white stripe is the same height as the two red stripes combined. This 1:2:1 ratio is known as a Spanish fess, so called because this is also the ratio of the stripes on the flag of Spain. So let's bring back Austria. Comparing the flags of Austria and Lebanon side by side, we can see the similarity of the stripes. In our opinion, these two flags are fairly easy to tell apart thanks of course to the cedar tree, and the decision to use a Spanish fess rather than a triband with stripes of equal size. Using the Spanish fess enabled the design to support a tree that is quite large and very prominent. So the big question is this: did Lebanon copy the stripe design of Austria, or is it just a coincidence that it uses red, white, and red horizontally? The answer probably lies with a man called Henri Philippe Farren. Farren was one of the key leaders who oversaw Lebanon's independence from France. After Lebanon's independence, he became foreign minister and held various other cabinet positions. He is the one credited with designing the flag. He came from a wealthy family, and for many generations, the honorary consuls to the imperial court in Vienna came from this family. Farren also founded an organization called the Austro-Lebanese Association of Friendship. Unfortunately, Farren was murdered in 1993 in what was believed to have been a failed robbery attempt. So it's clear Farren and his family had very strong ties to Austria. However, neither Farren nor any of the other leaders at the time mentioned Austria as being the inspiration for Lebanon's flag. But given the evidence, surely it's the case that the Austrian flag was the source for the flag's design, right? Not so fast. We have another flag and therefore another theory. Some believe the design was inspired by the flag used by the Manid dynasty, a prominent Arab family that ruled areas of Lebanon from the 12th to 17th centuries. The flag is a diagonal bicolor of white and red and is charged with a laurel wreath oriented diagonally to line up with the stripes. The flag uses the same three colors of green, white, and red as the Lebanese flag. But is this just a coincidence? After all, red, white, and green are very common colors used on flags, and this flag is a rather obscure historical flag. Or is it? Here is another flag. This is the flag of the Lebanese Armed Forces. As we can see, it bears a strong resemblance to the Manid flag. Looks like the Manid flag isn't that obscure after all, and it seems very likely it inspired the current flag of the Lebanese military. It's got the same white and red diagonal bicolor, and it also has the laurel wreath, though its color and orientation is different. So before we come to any conclusions, let's try and put ourselves in the shoes of the Lebanese leaders back in 1943, tasked with creating a new flag. We have a Lebanon cedar design that's a unique symbol to the country, and having been used for 25 years, a symbol the Lebanese people would have been getting used to and growing attached to. So therefore, it's a pretty clear choice to keep it for the new flag. And clearly an obvious choice would have been to get rid of the French tricolor. So what to replace the French flag with? One option would have been to revert back to the 1918 flag. However, the white field is too plain and boring in our view, and perhaps Farron and the others came to the same conclusion. Another option might have been to replace the blue on the French flag with red, but perhaps this was still a bit too similar to the French flag. So a fairly obvious alternative to the vertical stripes would be to make them horizontal, and as we previously discussed, make the white stripe bigger to enable a fairly large tree on the white. Perhaps the manid flag was indeed the source of inspiration, and they wanted to have the same three colors for the new Lebanese flag. Here is what the flag would look like with the manid bicolor. This has a contrast problem with the green and red. A possible alternative would be this, with a white tree border to separate the green and red. So what's our conclusion to all of this? There are numerous possibilities. The design could have come directly from Farron and the Austrian flag. It could have come from the manid flag, or perhaps both flags influenced the final design. It's also possible that neither flag influenced the design, though we find this pretty unlikely. So what do we believe? While we obviously don't know for sure, we think the flag of Austria was the main influence for the design. Farron's ties are so strong to Austria that we think the Austrian flag directly influenced his design for the flag of Lebanon, especially given it's the same triband design, albeit with the Spanish fez proportions. But what do you guys think? What do you think inspired the design of the flag? Let us know in the comments section. And don't worry, we haven't forgotten our little teaser from earlier. So in 1920, France stamped their authority on their Lebanese mandate by making the flag a charged French tricolor. But what we find really interesting is that the previous flag was also a charged French flag. For part of the 19th century, France used a plain white flag. So the flag of Lebanon from 1918 to 1920 was technically a charged historical flag of France, and the successor was a charged version of the current flag of France. And that concludes this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye for now.